one of the things I like about this report is that it encompasses all education systems on the planet, and it shows that wherever your starting point, you can improve. And I think it's the first report that brings every education system, wherever it might be, into one improvement framework. I'm Michael Barber. I'm head of the McKinsey Global Education Practice. And my job now is to bring a panel onto the platform here, ask them some questions, and then I'm going to engage you in conversation with the panel about the lessons of this report, about the PISA results that are published today, about system improvement, focused particularly, obviously, because this is where we are on the US, but also looking at that in a global context. So if I could ask Arnie, Carl, and Deborah onto the platform. Arnie, if you come here. I want to begin, if I may, Carl, with you, given that you're, for one thing, a great educator, former superintendent of Long Beach. But the reason I want to come to him first is he's part of the research sample in this particular case. When you see the research and when you think back on the Long Beach journey, tell us a little bit about the starting point when you took over in Long Beach back in the early 1990s, and then we'll take it from there.
1992, I'm appointed superintendent 2 months after the Rodney King riots in the Los Angeles, Long Beach area. McDonnell Douglas and the United States Navy, the community's 2 largest employers, are leaving. There's gang violence on a horrific scale. The school system really hadn't changed. Long Beach in the 1950s was Iowa by the sea. By 1980, it was immigration central on the West Coast. Youngsters coming from Mexico, other parts of Latin and Central America, and Southeast Asia. And early 90s, the New York Times sends one of their award-winning foreign correspondents to cover the gang war in Long Beach between Cambodian youngsters and Latino youngsters. So you have sort of a perfect storm of a community that's going down. So I'm selected as superintendent. School board says, you know what? We'd like you to raise standards, address behavior, and achievement. That's how it started.
So given that context, many people would have run a mile from taking that job, but you had the courage to take it on, and you established something which even now people talk about in Long Beach, which is the Long Beach Way. Can you talk about, first of all, what is the Long Beach Way? And secondly, how did you establish something so deep and profound that affects the school system even nearly 20 years later?
To a certain extent, Michael, it's a contrarian point of view that if we work with our people, we really have the resources there to get the job done. So there was an insistence on professional development. There was an insistence that we were going to develop standards long before the state of California developed standards, and that we were going to engage our people in a process of moving the system forward. So we had essential elements of effective instruction, an old Madeline Hunter approach to design of a lesson, that sort of thing, and we required it for everybody. But there was a strong sense of, you know what, we really need to make it clear that everyone's with us on this journey. The other thing is that in addition to talented people inside the system, at times you may need to marry that talent to some outside expertise. And with that came the folks in our research and evaluation office that actually began working with teachers and trying to make accountability teacher and principal friendly, as opposed to the usual nails on a chalkboard when you bring up accountability.
So right at the beginning, were there some difficult, really tough decisions you had to take on with that system? I mean, how did you get that first jump forward where you were able to get into that collective accountability, collective capacity building?
I think we went ahead and made those top-down types of decisions that needed to be made, but we made it in a way that it really engaged people in the process. So we felt that this sense of urgency, that there had to be some non-negotiables in that process. And if you look at things like essential elements of instruction, it's very much a part of that poor to fair journey in terms of the skill level that's involved.